Hey, I want to take a moment to tell you about Anchor. I absolutely love Anchor, and it's the easiest way to make a podcast. That's why I use it. Let me explain. It's completely free, and there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every other podcast platform out there. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Switch to Anchor and never pay a hosting fee again. What you need to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I want to take a moment to tell you about Trade Coffee. Trade Coffee believes that every cup of coffee you make should be your best ever, no matter how you take your coffee. Launched in 2018, Trade Coffee unites the nation's top roasters, including some in Nashville, directly with drinkers, offering 400 plus roasted-to-order coffees so fresh they don't exist until you say so. This company has really opened my eyes to everything coffee can be, and in the process, turning me, who was a regular coffee drinker, into a coffee lover. Listen to these coffee subscription perks. Access a hand-picked selection of 400 plus coffees roasted around the country and personalized just for you. Automatically receive discounted pricing on curated coffees plus free shipping always. Adjust your coffee, update order frequency, go from hot to cold, or switch to decaf. Pause or cancel at any time. Lastly, sit back and enjoy. Their coffee is roasted to order and delivered at peak freshness direct to your home. So, are you ready to unlock your coffee rotation? I want to share a special offer with my listeners. If you sign up for a coffee subscription as a new customer, you will get your first bag of coffee for free. Yes, free. All you need to do to get started is go to 99percentlocalpod.com/coffee.
Welcome to the 99% Loco Podcast.
Hey there, podcast family. Welcome to another week of the podcast, and thank you so much for tuning in. This week brings us to episode number 56. Each episode, me, your host, Chris Green, is bringing stories of Nashville and Middle Tennessee-based entrepreneurs, authors, musicians, artisans, and other creators. Everyone has a story, their own unique upbringing, and a passion for why they're doing what they're doing. I personally love the sense of community around Nashville and get my kicks from sharing these stories. This week, we're heading west out of Nashville on 40 all the way out to Jackson, Tennessee. Josh Galigher is this week's guest. Josh is a certified bail bondsman and bounty hunter. Josh established the Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team in 2013, and his team has been responsible for hundreds of arrests and is one of the leading bail enforcement teams in West Tennessee. If you ever watched Dog the Bounty Hunter, then you know a little bit about this profession, except for what was exaggerated on TV. Plus, Josh doesn't exactly have a long blonde mullet. If you have no idea what a bounty hunter is, according to Google, a bounty hunter, in simple terms, is a skilled professional who is hired by a bail bondsman to find and capture a fugitive in exchange for a monetary reward. The bounty hunter's reward, which is considered the bounty, is typically a percentage of the bail. If you've ever enjoyed watching the live action of shows like Cops or Live PD, you're going to want to check out Josh's TikTok, where he frequently live streams his captures. You can find the link to his TikTok account in the show notes. Let's get into this. Here's my conversation with Josh Galigher, bounty hunter with the Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team.
His face looked just like his picture. Ugly outlaw with a black mustache. Back on that road, on my horse, grabbed my hat and my gun. Found his tracks, know his name. Man, I can't wait to run, 'cause it's time to send the killer straight back to hell. And a bounty hunter's what I am.
Thanks for doing this. Your name's Josh Galigher. You're part of the Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team. You're a certified bail bondsman, bounty hunter. Your team's responsible for hundreds of arrests and one of the leading bail enforcement teams in West Tennessee.
Yes, sir.
So let's get this out of the way. Is like bounty hunter kind of like just that term? Is that kind of a negative term? Do you prefer more official titles like fugitive recovery agent?
To be honest with you, it's actually been a debate with Tennessee law in regards to whether we call ourselves bounty hunters or fugitive recovery agents. Me personally, I don't care, what we're called. At the end of the day, we do the same job. I do feel, though, that in a more professional setting, there should be a more professional term for what we do.
True. And I'm pretty sure when someone thinks bounty hunter, they think of Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Correct. That's a very, very common thing to hear.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm excited to chat with you. I know nothing about this profession. I'm stoked to kind of dig into this and hear about what you do. I mean, it's such an unusual occupation. I think there's states that even ban the practice of bounty hunting, right?
Yeah. There's, off the top of my head, 8 states that actually ban the profession of bounty hunting. And there's a lot of people right now that are actually pushing for what they call bail reform. And it's becoming increasingly thorn in the side of people who actually do this as a profession and take this profession serious.
So how long have you been doing this?
I have been doing this since 2013.
Let's get some of the terminology out of the way. So, talk to me about bail bonding and, what it actually means to be a bounty hunter. Because I know it's kind of confusing. It's, you see the bail bond company ads all over the place. I'm not sure a lot of people actually know what that means.
Right. So basically, in my situation, I became a bounty hunter in 2013. I just recently become a legitimate bail bondsman. Now I write the bonds, and I just did that in January of 2020. So we haven't, really gotten a chance to, or I haven't, let me say that. I haven't gotten a chance to really get my feet on the ground to get into that as much as I would like. I am more known as the bounty hunter than anything at this point.
Yeah. So talk to me about that. I mean, what does it mean to be a bounty hunter? Because, it's separate from, I guess, agents of the state, I guess. You're not really considered agents of the state, right? So, just give me an overview or kind of elaborate on, what your job entails, just overall, or I guess you could explain like what is fugitive apprehension, or what kind of fugitives or people do you actually search for and try to find?
Basically, you are correct. We're not agents of the state, but they do consider us agents of the court. When the bail bondsman goes in and writes the bond, we have them sign a contract. And on those contracts, we require what they call a cosigner. That cosigner is responsible for making sure that that person appears in court and also holds the responsibility of, ensuring the surety of the bond. And what that means is when they put that payment down, they make sure that they're, making a promise to the court that they're going to appear, or that the person that they're bonding is going to appear. Now, when they don't appear, the agents of the court, the bounty hunters, whatever technological term you want to use for us, we have to go recover that surety. In other words, let's say, for instance, someone bonds on a $50,000 bond. They pay us $5,000 to get out of jail. Our company would be responsible for the rest of that $50,000. So if they don't appear for court, that $50,000, the whole amount of the $50,000 falls back on the company. And that is why there are so many bounty hunters, and there are a lot more bail bondsmen becoming more bounty hunters, because at the end of the day, it's about recovering the assets.
Yeah, and I would imagine there's a very large percentage that fail to appear, and that's where you come in.
Correct.
um, yeah. I don't know if you know much about the history of this. Like, when did the whole thing of bounty hunting come into play?
To be honest with you, bounty hunting has been, to my knowledge and the reading that I've done, bounty hunting's been around since the 1800s. It's become more regulated, as I feel that it should. But it has been around for a pretty legitimate amount of time.
I want to chat more about this. I mean, your job's got to be pretty exciting, and I see all the videos you post. You're always on the go, always on searches. But let's talk about your background. I'm gonna guess you were born and raised in Tennessee.
Yes, sir. Actually, a little small town in West Tennessee, Bolivar, Tennessee.
Bolivar, is that where you're at now still, or?
No, sir. I currently reside in Jackson, Tennessee.
Tell me about growing up. I mean, did you always have an interest in, like criminal justice, law enforcement type stuff, or, tell me about that.
Coming up, I always, I was that type of child that I always told my mom, one day I'm going to catch bad guys. I'm going to be a police officer. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So yeah, I would say that I always had the drive and the ambition to be the person that wanted to help everybody else. And, being a bounty hunter was not the first thing on my list. I never in a million years thought I would be in the position that I'm in today. I never thought that this would be the line of work that I would be in. And to be honest with you, I couldn't even tell you what honestly made me go this way, because, I have background in corrections. I worked for the Fayette County Sheriff's Office for a length of time, and I've done things of that nature. And for some reason, this profession just kind of stuck out to me. And the more I got into it, the more I was around it, the more it drew me in. And to this day, I tell everybody the same thing. It's addictive. There's no getting away from it. There's no other hunting like the hunting of a man.
I'd imagine. So you started the Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team. Do you have multiple guys that work with you?
Yes, sir. Currently, we have 3 other guys that work with us.
Okay. And are you all out in Western Tennessee then, or?
Yes, sir.
So do you mainly stay out in that area, or do you go through other areas in the state?
We have been Nashville, Knoxville. We have been Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi. Through TikTok, I have found that, I guess that's the way that I've connected with so many people, because they see that we go to all these different places, and, there's just never one particular area that we're, secluded to. Wherever they run, we go get them.
So do you find more guys than you don't find?
I would say that our catch percentage is a lot better than the ones that get away.
Okay. Like how many, you said you started doing this in 2013. Like how many fugitives have you guys tracked down roughly?
Since 2013, I would roughly estimate about maybe a little over 1,000. I actually have a folder that has every warrant and capias that I have ever served on someone, and it's gotten to filing cabinet status.
Oh wow, yeah. So I was going to ask you. I mean, what goes into the process of trying to track someone down? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of time investigating, researching. Kind of tell me about that.
So basically, how it starts, after they fail to appear to court, we receive the capias or the bench warrant. We start usually every capias and bench warrant comes out with an address of the individual, and we also have the contract that the individual signed upon their release. So, between that, the co-signer, we start there. I'm the type of person, I have always been, you've got specific bounty hunters that will sit and watch houses. I am more of an interactive bounty hunter. I like to go knock on doors. I like to talk to people. I like to openly communicate, because I feel like, that's what it takes. Sometimes, the surveillance part of it, the tracking, the background running, all that stuff. Yes, it's necessary. But at the end of the day, if you're not communicating with the community, this job is not going to last very long for you.
To me, it's kind of like, I think of bounty hunters sometimes, if you Google it, you'll find all these news articles that, some of these guys think they're above the law. Kind of tell me, obviously you're not agents of the state, but you said you're agents of the court. What are some things that bounty hunters can do and maybe not do, when you're apprehending, these criminals or fugitives?
So just like you said, there have been some, bad apples in the profession, quite a few actually. And, it puts a stain on all of us because, it's monkey see, monkey do at this point. I read a couple months ago where some guys over in East Tennessee ended up shooting at a vehicle, with an occupant in there that they believed to be their guy. And it turned out that it wasn't even their guy. You read those articles, and when you go through your 8 hours of continuing education, you shouldn't stop there. And that's just a personal thing for me. I don't believe you should stop trying to invest your time into learning more. There's lots of things that we can and can't do. For instance, once we get a bench warrant, a lot of bounty hunters have this perception that, just because that address is on the warrant, they don't have to have permission to enter that residence. Technically, that's true. But if you do further research, it also states in Tennessee law that if you are going into a home and that person's name is not on that home, it's still against the law. You do have to have permission to enter third-party homes. You have to have permission to enter a home that is not registered to that fugitive. And, there's a lot of guys out here that get out here and the best term I can use for it is they play cowboys and Indians and they think it's a game until, they're on the other side of it.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I think those are the guys that give this profession a bad name. But so obviously there's laws, licenses, training, things that, especially in the state of Tennessee that you have to go through to become a bounty hunter. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
The licensing that we do is yearly. We go through the TAPBA, and what that is the Tennessee Association of Professional Bonding Agents. They give us a license every year. We go through 8 hours of what they call a continuing education course. Through that 8 hours, you learn pretty much the cans, the can'ts. You learn state laws, because laws change every year, and a lot of people don't keep up with what laws change and, how things like that work. But in the process of going through these continuing education courses, the whole point of that is to make sure that you're aware that you continue to know that what you're doing is by the book and right. And I guess that's where a lot of these guys mess up because, a lot of them go in there and they have this philosophy that I'm just going to sleep through this. I don't need to know this. It's not important. And in my honest opinion, I don't feel like things are as regulated as they should be.
Yeah. I mean, I would only imagine, thinking of legal things, you're definitely probably exposed more to like legal liabilities.
Oh yeah, definitely. And see, that's another thing. I've been doing this so long that, as far as legal liabilities, I myself have never, ever had a complaint. I have never had someone tell me, hey, you shouldn't have done that. I've never had someone say you didn't do that right, and my relationship with law enforcement around here is, A1. Anytime I need help, they're there. I've actually had commendations from the local police departments. So my relationship with them is A1, and that's where it starts. I believe that building a relationship with law enforcement also helps you, not only in the sense that, they're going to help you get your person, But at the end of the day, they can educate you a little bit more on the cans and can'ts.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I think there's another misconception that, police and bounty hunters, I guess, wouldn't get along, but that makes sense, with the approach that you take. So, talk about, apprehending these fugitives. I mean, you're allowed to carry a firearm, I believe.
Yes, sir.
I mean, is there any special laws there, or do you just follow, the state gun laws, or?
So basically, when we carry our firearms, we are carrying our firearms as private civilians. It's the same as any other person who has a gun permit.
Right.
If we intend to use our weapon, we have to have a very, very good reason. And in this day and age, I encourage people to carry their firearm because it's a dangerous job. Whether some other person who is not in the profession would believe it or not, this is a dangerous job. We have ran into situations where I honestly felt like I may have to use my firearm. Thank God I didn't. But you never know who or what you're dealing with. You don't know whose door you're knocking on. You don't know, just exactly who these people are. I mean, you get a good feel, but you don't know.
You just kind of talked about it. I mean, I'm guessing there's times you felt unsafe, or, do you have any interesting stories? I'm sure you do. I mean, I can only imagine the stuff that you roll up on and encounter. I mean,
so a typical question that I get on a daily basis on TikTok, it tends to be, what is your funniest encounter? And it's a tough question because I have so many, but there was actually a guy, it's been 3-4 years ago, maybe. I actually knew the guy from the time that I worked at the sheriff's office, and I knew that, he was a runner. And what I mean by that is if he sees us, he's gone. I mean, he's running. So we get to this guy's house, and nobody answers the door. Little did I know they don't use the front door. So me and a couple of the other guys walk over to the neighbor's house. We're talking to the neighbor. The neighbor says, "Hey, he's dating my sister. They have no vehicle. They're at home." Okay, that's all we need to know. They don't use the front door. Go to the back. Okay. So I'm going around back, and there's actually a video of this on there, on TikTok. I go around back. The guy comes out as I'm going around the corner of the house. He comes out the back door, makes eye contact with me, and I called him by his name. I won't say his name, but I called him by his name, and he immediately knew who I was, so he slammed the door. Now, in the state of Tennessee, as far as bounty hunting laws, if you make contact with your fugitive or you physically lay eyes on that fugitive, you have the right and the authority to enter the household in any means necessary. So when he shut that door, my natural instinct was to kick it. And once I kicked the door, he ran into the attic. He had his girlfriend and his girlfriend's mother there. He refused to come out of the attic. I mean, honestly, I don't know where he thought he was going, but he refused to come out. And we ended up spraying some OC spray in the attic. And after about 45 seconds, I think he completely changed his life. He decided he wanted to come down. We have multiple encounters. Like, it's crazy because it's always the smallest and, lesser charges that these people run and fight on. And you would be amazed with some of the stories and the videos.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to watch as many as you've posted on there. I mean, you talked about this early on, just being able to talk to them. I mean, you got to be prepared physically and, psychologically as well.
Correct.
I mean, are there any other cases that you can think of that kind of stand out to you that you've been involved in?
Actually, there is one. I had a guy, this has been about a year ago. He decided that while living with his mother, he was going to send her to the door to lie to us and say that he wasn't there. Now, knowing our profession and knowing what we do, we always try to make 100% confirmation that, our fugitive is in the home. And that's what we did. We done our surveillance. We learned that he was in there. We saw him physically go in the home. She lied for him. And as I'm standing there talking to her, she, her body language told me everything I needed to know. And I finally, under my breath, told her, I said, you do realize, if he's in this home and PD comes out, it's a harbor and a fugitive charge. And she just gets this stone cold look on her face. And she's like making eye motions. She wouldn't say it out loud, but she makes eye motions, to tell me, hey, he might be that way.
Yeah.
So at that point, with her permission, we entered the home. We're searching for him. We're calling out his name. Hey, come out, show me your hands. No reply, no response. You could hear a pin drop in there. So, suddenly, after searching the first room, I just hear this god awful scream. And I actually told this story on my TikTok live the other day and everybody got a kick out of it. And I feel bad for the guy in a way, but then again, I don't. I don't know if you know how the old houses like in the 60s and 70s used to be. The water heaters were always in the closet.
Right.
So this guy decides he's going to go in the closet and try to hide behind the water heater. And I'm not sure what he done, but whatever he done to the water heater, he ended up getting 3rd-degree burns trying to hide behind it. We tend to run into some people who they do some crazy things to avoid minor inconveniences.
Yeah. So the moral of the story is to comply over being a runner.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It works out in your favor to just say, you know what, I made a mistake. It is what it is. Let me correct it.
Yeah. 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 So I already asked you a little bit about, the process of tracking down someone and the research and whatever goes into that. But, what's your typical day like?
Typically it starts with a lot of internet homework, because I'll say this, 90% of the people who give us information, they like to give bad information. They, for some reason, feel like, hey, if I give them this information, they'll never find me. But I can't give out all the secrets, but that's not necessarily true.
Right.
We spend a lot of time on the internet. Social media, of course, is number one go-to because people have fallen into this trap nowadays. They post their every single move. If it's, hey, I'm at Wendy's getting a hamburger. Hey, I'm in the bathroom, they check into these places, and it's absolutely mind-blowing that some of these people will swear up and down that they will never be caught, yet they'll tell on themselves.
Yeah.
But as far as a typical day, like I said, we start out with the tracking. We go to where we first need to go as far as co-signers' homes. The address on the warrant, we'll stake it out a little while, see what we can see. We make contact with the individuals in the home, talk to them, fill them out. And a lot of times when I make contact with people, it's not because I'm impatient and I don't want to sit there and wait. It's because I have a knack for filling people out. And, body language is one of the most important things that you cannot hide. Body language will tell you everything you need to know about somebody. And I've been doing this long enough that, open-end questions, eye movements, anything of that sort, it tells me everything I need to know.
Yeah. That goes back to, the whole being psychologically prepared. We'll get back to my chat with Josh in a moment. You made it this far in the podcast, so obviously you like this podcast. Can I ask you to do 1 or 2 quick things to help support this podcast? Number 1, tell a friend about this podcast. Number 2, buy me a cup of coffee. Yes, just a cup of coffee. You can do that at 99percentlocalpod.com and click on contribute. Down the road, if we ever have a chance to get together in person for a real cup of coffee, I'll maybe bring you a podcast t-shirt. All right, back to the discussion. What's your favorite bounty hunter movie?
My favorite bounty hunter movie. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I actually recently just seen it a couple years ago, and I thought it was the funniest movie ever, and it probably won't make any sense, but it's a movie with Ice Cube, all about the Benjamins. And I guess because I'm more of a comedy person,
Yeah.
and I think that was a pretty funny movie, and I don't think there are too many movies about bounty hunters. Now there is one that's also a comedy where the guy gets hired to go hunt down his ex-wife. I thought that was pretty hilarious. You know, I wish it really worked that way, but yeah.
Yeah. So you're saying that any Joe off the street can't go up to you and hire you to go find someone.
No, it has to be a legitimate bail bonding company.
There's other people out there that can do that for you, I guess.
Correct. And, you know, and that's something that I get a lot as well. Like I'll get messages on TikTok, Facebook. You know, of course, we have our FAST page on Facebook, the Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team. You know, I get these people who get the perception that we can just go after anybody with a warrant, and that's not true, you know. We only go after the individuals who we are hired to go after, and those are the individuals that fail to appear on our bail bonds.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's another misconception. You know, people see bounty hunter and they just think they're, you know, someone like a private investigator, I guess, that you could hire and track someone down, but definitely not. Completely different.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Way different.
Yeah.
And I can tell you in my time of doing this, there's nothing that I would rather do. It has been very rewarding. I've got some good people in my corner. I've got good companies in my corner. And I work for multiple companies. I only write for one. But as far as the recovery side, I work for multiple companies. And I can tell you they're all great people. You know, would do anything to help anybody. And at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. This is why we do what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, when you're not doing this, what are you doing? Do you have a family, kids, or?
Yes, sir. I have a 14-year-old son, and I also have a fiance. We are getting married October the 9th.
Well, awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. As far as hobbies, I can tell you when I'm not hunting, it's a lot of time with my son. It's a lot of time out. You know, I'm an avid shooter. I love going to the gun range. I love to do training. We do training scenarios to stay up on our game, you know, make sure we get everything right. There's no hiccups. And I feel like that's important as well. So, you know, those are things that I pretty well stay up on.
You know, one thing before we get to wrapping up here, I was going to ask you, and it was on the back of my mind because I was talking to someone the other day about it. I mean, do you spend a lot of time in Memphis?
Oh, yes, sir. We I'd say 80% of our casework is out of Memphis.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've just heard, you know, the crime rates and everything in Memphis is getting, you know, increasingly worse than it used to be. And
is.
So we had we had some friends that are from Memphis, and my wife and I were like, we want to go check out Memphis. And they're like, well, talk to us before you go so you know where to stay.
Right. And that's just about anywhere in Memphis.
Yeah.
You know, some of our most scariest situations have come out of Memphis. You know, I'll be 100% honest. Tourism, cool. You know, if you're going to a Grizzlies game or, you know, something like that, cool. But other than that, man, when the sun goes down, stay away.
Yeah.
That's my best advice.
Yeah. No, I'd imagine, you know, bounty hunter out where you are versus, you know, suburban Nashville probably has a lot more action and excitement.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, the bigger cities, you know, they're a lot different when it comes to the bonding industry. Of course, you know, bigger cities are going to provide your bigger jail population.
Right.
So, I'm sure out in the bigger cities they have more casework, but even in the little city that I reside in, we are booming.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the videos.
Yep.
We're constantly on somebody. And again, I also can contribute that to working for so many different companies. I have so many friends in this industry, and all of them being business owners, they're like, hey, I know you can get the job done. Can you get this person? Can you do this? Can you work on this? And, I'm the type of person, I'm not going to turn it down.
Let's wrap this up by, tell the listeners how they can find you, on the web or on Facebook and then on TikTok.
Okay, so on Facebook, I am under Josh Galigher. That is spelled JoshGaligher. TikTok is Tennessee_bounty hunter. Instagram tatted_and_tactical. We do the lives on there. I post videos on TikTok daily. We got a lot going on. I appreciate everybody who follows, everybody who's tuned in to the TikTok tonight. This has been a pretty awesome experience for me, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, awesome. Well, keep it up and keep sharing the videos and, be safe. And I look forward to, following you more and seeing more about what you're doing.
Sir. And I appreciate you. You've definitely got my support. I'm going to send more people your way. I think what you're doing is awesome. It helps people get out a little bit more, get recognized and noticed for what they really do. And you don't find too many people who have that kind of compassion, and I commend you for that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, there you go. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, thank you for listening. If you'd like to get a hold of me, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me directly at 99percentlocalpod@gmail.com. Or you can actually drop by the contact page on the website and send a voice message that may appear in a future episode. You can find the website at 99percentlocalpod.com. While you're there, make sure you catch up on all of those past episodes that you might have missed. If you'd like to support the show, you can do it in a few different ways. Please follow the podcast on Instagram and Facebook at 99percentlocalpod. Leave a review wherever you listen to the podcast. And the best thing you can possibly do is share the podcast with your friends who might want to check it out. Lastly, consider contributing to the podcast on a one-time or ongoing basis. All contributions that I receive, 10% of that goes to the Well Outreach Food Pantry in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Well, until next week, stay safe and be kind to those around you.